Hello and welcome to Oh Brother News. I'm your host Gabe.
And I am his brother James, which is going
Well,
to defeat Gabe saying, and we're brothers.
now I can't say it. Now we're brother. Well, okay, I'm still saying it. Whatever. You shanghaied me real good there. Very, very brotherly. Okay, this week we got stuff to talk about. Um, on the good side of things, there's a report that Elon was asked to step down as the Tesla CEO. Related news, there's a huge Tesla sales slump and their stock prices are jumping off of a cliff. Um, Big news as of yesterday is the tariff details are out, and surprise, surprise, the stock market is down. I heard that CNBC did a live feed. They showed
Yeah, Trump
Trump announcing the tariffs, like split screen with like him on the left and then the stock market on the right, just watching it plummet.
Liberation
Uh,
Day.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so we'll have some stuff. I don't. There's so much to cover with that. I'm gonna bring up a few things, including the tariffs on Sweden that seem to not make any sense. Um,
But they all,
we're
yeah.
the U.S. auto workers getting laid off. Some Republican senators doing a we care or a kind of like um,
Hmm.
a nonsense vote,
We're not going to remove,
on a
yeah.
bill that goes against the Canada tariffs.
Hmm.
Things we might get into deportation chaos, especially. Um,
So start
gods,
getting,
I should have known his name, but the one guy who's like, you know,
we admitted.
totally shouldn't have been deported.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Trump announcing officially that he wants to have a third term and he's not joking about it. The potential of a civil war, the end of federal elections. I don't know. The honeybee crisis.
Mm-hmm.
The there's too many things. The food banks, the Meals on Wheels getting no funding. Uh, yeah, there's a lot to get
By the
into.
way,
So.
if the economy keeps going the way it's going under Trump, everybody's going to need a food bank. So.
Not everybody. I mean, the 1% will still be, you know, eaten from their Gucci spoons.
Now,
Well, so you want to start with tariffs then?
you can do the thing with the Elon because, I mean, I saw that the report you're talking about,
Uh-huh.
but it looked like only a couple of real fringe websites talking about it. What I saw much more widely reported was that he's probably going to be asked to step away from Doge.
Oh no, I heard that. I heard that Trump was saying he's going to be out soon.
Yeah, you know, at some future point, sometime soon. You know,
Yeah.
like the end of the COVID crisis. One day, like magic, it'll just happen.
Exactly. Yeah, so it was like the thing that I saw was like from was from cleantechnica.com.
Mhm.
We'll have the link in the show notes, and it was like an anonymous report that the board had asked him to step down. So there's not like a ton of uh, coverage for this. I guess it's
Yeah,
more of a rumor.
yeah. I saw a bunch of wide coverage that a big Tesla investor said he should step down, but I didn't. Yeah,
But I mean, it makes a lot of sense because they've missed
he's
the
toxic
projected self-driving launch for the past every year for the
every
past
year.
10 years.
Every year.
You
Yeah.
know, their stock price is based on the idea um, that they're going to increase the number of sales year over year by 50%, or like
and they
maybe
were
not
the
every year, but like
and
it'll
they were the
average out to
only
50%.
and they're the only EV company to have the sales go down last year or this year.
Yeah. I
The
mean,
only one.
we can get into why. Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons for why. And then,
That's
like Elon has declared war on
people who'd
his
want to buy
customers and the world
them. Hmm.
seemingly for, I don't know, like revenge for not being invited to to the EV summit by Biden. Like he's just like
I think
just a child, I guess. But
well,
like so for a while, Tesla sales they were increasing by 50% ish every year. And then in 2020, they took a little bit of a slowdown because, some of the plants were closed. Um, Elon was all, the fate of the world hinges on me making my workers work in the middle of the COVID. How dare you not let me kill people for cars? Damn it. The fate of the world. Uh, he threw that whole fit.
remember
I think
he
that's,
thinks the whole world should just procreate their way out of problems. Like him, just have kids with everybody you see. Just have
but
many, many kids.
only pay, but only like only pay, even if you're the world's richest man, okay, you can only pay for the first 11 of your children. Like the 12th one, like you're on your own, bro. Like I gave you the seed, get out there and be somebody. Because I guess he's having some drama with whether or not he's gonna, I haven't actually looked at that, so I just saw the headlines, but he's got some drama with his 12th baby mama, or his baby mama of his 12th child. I don't know if he has 12 baby mamas. I think it's like 8 baby mamas or something. It's ridiculous.
You
um
remember, you're a horrible person if you protest Tesla. He says that. Who would cheer at their price of their stock going down? That's evil people.
and this from the guy
Who did this to Kyle?
who
Yeah.
slash, not even that, like, I don't even care about that, like that's performative dumb nonsense. But like the things that the reason that's going down, the reason people are so mad is because of the way he's treating the world. Like, and the people, like, in America, okay, like in addition to slashing all the federal jobs,
They're laughing about it.
he's also trying to buy the Supreme Court election in Wisconsin. And he failed. Like we won that one. Um, like literally giving out $1 million checks to people, saying it's like a randomized drawing, and surprise, surprise, it wasn't a randomized drawing. Um, what else is he doing?
Oh, he's really mad at South
They did
Africa,
Meals
man.
on Wheels.
He's
Oh
really
yeah,
pissed
he's
at South Africa because, I mean, he's an apartheid baby,
yeah.
and if he wouldn't have been where he is without that wonderful system, that he enjoyed as a kid, apartheid, where white people were the only ones allowed to own everything, and now, and down the road, government's like, hey, for a long time, the 1% of the population owned 100% of everything, and it's time that we, start making sure that a handful of white people don't own everything. We need to make sure we can have a little bit of equity here and let other people own stuff, and they're kind of taking stuff back a little bit from people who really horribly benefited from that system. And he's really mad about that. So him and Donald Trump are really pissed about that. That's why they were railing against South Africa so much.
I mean, maybe it's like a radical idea, but like I feel like it's worth exploring. Like, why should you own something forever?
That's true.
Like, especially when it's something like a public resource, like an emerald mine or some other form of mine, or like the water.
Well,
Like,
it's easy. It's because they were white.
yeah, but like the only people who really should own that is like the public. Even like in
Yeah.
America, where we're like giving out, like, we're letting, I can't remember which company it is that takes the water out of Lake Michigan and bottles it up and ships it
Mhm.
off all over the place, or like the, the company, Fiji Water, that like tapped us. They bought a spring in Fiji and they tapped it, and they're just like shipping it all. Put a bottling plant and they're shipping it out. Like that is the product of the people of Fiji. And like anytime when, the same thing with like oil or anything else, like anytime like a private company is benefiting from a public resource, like they should be compensating the public, not just as like in the form of taxes, but like directly as like a majority shareholder, because it's ours. Like if you're going to drill baby drill in America, which is mine, you know, you should be paying me because it's mine.
It is one of the things they did in Alaska. One of the reasons people in Alaska actually liked Sarah Palin when she was governor.
Yeah, they like made him pay the state.
Yeah, the people got checks. Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely how it should be. Like America should be getting checks
Mm-hmm.
from all of the oil that we're letting people get. Not all of it,
Yeah.
I don't know, like half.
It's
If
like a
you can give the CEOs,
it's like a dividend.
t-
It's like a
tens of
dividend on a
millions.
stock.
Exactly. Like it's our oil, bro. Like yes, you got it up out of the ground and you sold it and you held it in barrels to manipulate the price, but like it is still ours. You got to pay us.
And if you're Ukraine, you also have to pay us with all your oil and all your minerals and resources.
Oh my god! So that deal is
Uh,
just so we've avoided talking about
I
this. It
know.
wasn't even on the agenda, but like that deal is really
It's
shitty.
gotten
So
worse.
like,
Well, it's gotten so much worse because here's the thing: Trump has changed the deal now to make it such that it is impossible for Zelensky to accept it. It is illegal for him to accept it. He can't. It's gotten so much worse than it originally was. Yeah, I mean now it's U.S. gets the first. Any U.S. company gets first like bidding rights on everything. We get like the point of we get to decide everything. There'll be a board that gets to decide what happens with things, but there'd be 3 appointees of Trump and 2 appointees of Zelensky, and that board would get to decide everything. And
uh,
with all the different rights, where it would have to everything would come to the United States first, or be the first opportunity for a thing that would be a violation of EU stuff, so he'd never be able to be a part of the EU. Um, it's just it's so bad,
yeah,
and now
it's
it
nonsense.
includes gas, oil, and gas on top of just the 500 billion dollars of you know rare earths, all the mineral resources. Now he wants their oil and gas too. I mean, remember, yeah, it's outrageous. There's no way he can sign it. He cannot sign it, and he wouldn't sign it,
But
So
just
it's a
to dig into
pretense.
some of the
It's
numbers
just a
of the,
pretext. It's just a pretext, just so Trump can cut off Zelensky in Ukraine. That's what it is.
I see.
Poison pill. That's what they call it. Poison pill.
Yeah, it's a point. That's not, that makes sense. See, like that's what I thought that it was
That's
all
exactly.
along. Because
Yeah,
I was like, that's why I was so surprised when Zelensky came and was like, I'm ready to sign. I was like, what do you mean you're ready to sign? You're ready to like
he's ready to give
sign
up
the.
$500 billion for the almost $100 billion in military stuff he got as a gift. As a paying it back. Okay, fine, fine. $500 billion. That's the price to pay, I guess, for continued stuff and support and getting aid. And then now it's just like, yeah, now the deal's
Maybe
changed.
maybe
We need to make
somebody
it so
told
bad that you
Zelensky like,
Europe did.
like, well, like maybe someone told Zelensky like, look, I know Trump is saying that the deal is just going to be like you're going to give us everything and you're going to get
But
nothing,
in
but like
four
don't
years, he'll be
worry.
gone. Whatever.
No, but like don't worry. Like when you get here, like he's gonna say that he's gonna sell it as that, but behind closed doors, you're gonna get the things that you need. And
Maybe, but it
I
doesn't
just
work.
can't imagine any such because like when he was here, he was like very clear. He was like, yeah, well, we have to get security guarantees and blah blah blah. And he was like,
And that pissed him off.
we have to have a common sense deal, or like obviously I'm not going to sign it. I'm not going to just like give away the country for nothing. Like we
Mm-hmm.
didn't just go to war for 3 years so we could just like say, oh yeah, never mind, here just and take all of our resources too. Like fuck it.
Or we'll rather be your colony than theirs.
like
Yes.
Greenland. Oh, everything. We'll just talk about everything that I didn't put on the list. Like
Well, we can go to the next thing. We can go to the. Well, we can go. You already talked about the Tesla. We can just go
I do
with
want to talk.
sales slipping. I think we should go into the. Well, Greenland goes along with the tariffs, and we can go to the tariffs first if you want.
Actually, hold on. Before we leave the Ukraine deal, I want to talk about some of the details. Just call out how nonsense they are.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, it's like saying that they're going to get America's going to get 500 billion back. Okay, 500 billion is more than the total amount of aid given to them, not only by the United States, which is 175 billion, but by all like the United States and the rest of the world combined is
Well, we
not
didn't
even
give them
500 billion.
175 billion. We
Okay,
promised
hold on, wait. I'm getting to it. So
them.
the on paper amount
Okay.
of
We
aid
promised.
that we gave them was 175 billion. Okay, of that money, like I can't remember if it's 60 or 66, 60-ish, let's say, of those billions, 60. So one third of the 175 is for America to strengthen its position in Europe and to strengthen NATO allies. Okay, that's 66 billion. So one third is just like America having their bases be better. They just put it in the same bill. Like 11 billion, so less than 10%, 11 billion is like direct cash to Ukraine as a loan that could be repaid. And Joe Biden forgave, or no, I think it was I think it's 9 million because Joe Biden forgave 4.7 million, which was half of it, okay, of the loan amount, and uh, the other 4.7 billion is for like Trump to decide whether or not America is going to forgive that or like want Ukraine to pay it back. 4.7 billion, not 500. 4.7 was a loan. Okay, because 9 billion was a loan. 4.7 already forgiven. Then you take like the rest of the money, right? There's like 11 billion that like went to them as actual cash. That's like for them to run their government and like pay people for working in the country. And then I can't remember how much it is, but it's like 50 to 70 billion is us buying new weapons, new artillery ammunition and artillery systems,
HIMARS,
and missiles and ATACMS systems and the air defense systems and ammunition. So stuff for all of those,
for us
probably
to
like
buy new ones.
bullets also.
And
Yeah,
remember
we're
this,
buying new ones and we're
because
giving them our old ones. So all of that money goes directly back into America. We just literally went down to like americanguns.com and we just like wrote them a check for 70 billion and then
by
we
the
just
way,
gave away our old shit over to there.
it would cost more for us not to give it to them, because it would cost more just to pay for the replenishment of everything and then have to decommission everything, get rid of the old weapons and everything else. It's actually cheaper just to give it away. So again, we saved money.
Yeah. So this idea that like we're gonna get 500 billion, to your point,
Yeah,
totally a poison pill. But it's patently absurd. It's like vindictively, vilely absurd.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Okay. Well, I've been not getting to say those things about this bullshit for weeks now, but
yeah,
okay, I had to dig it. Okay, so let's talk about tariffs.
yeah.
So let me just check real quick how the stock market's doing. Just like I'm just gonna do like a 28 stock market loses 3.1 trillion in value. If you just Google stock market, that's the first thing from Wall Street Journal. Let me type Dow Jones. Okay, down 4% today, so we're down to
Ooh,
40,545, which is a drop of 1,679 or 3.98%. And so like
man.
that's today. So 1679 is the drop today. In the past 5 days, it's 1699 down. So it's almost all today, right? But if you
Mm,
look at the past 6 months, we're down 1465. You look at the past 1 month, we're down 2645. Yeah. So it's real ugly.
yeah,
It's trillions of dollars just
and
evaporating.
well, and actually, here's the thing. I was listening a little bit earlier, and oh god, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Michael Steele, actually, right? Michael Steele talking with one of the guys in the Bulwark, and it actually made perfect sense. Now, first of all, two things, because I know you had that article about the 32% for Sweden, and that's why I saw, you were talking about that article, but Axios already broke the math on it, and it is the simplest formula ever. They were laughing, saying, "Man, it's like a 10-year-old did this."
Oh
There
yeah,
isn't.
it was like
You take
exports minus imports
yeah, you
divided
look at
by
the
total imports or something like yeah.
you just look at the U.S. trade deficit with the country, right?
Hmm.
And then you just divide that, you divide that like number by like two or whatever like that. You know what I mean? It's like the formula is divide the U.S. trade deficit with each country by that country's exports to the U.S. Right, and then
Hmm.
you just divide that number by two, and there's your tariff. And literally, that's all it is, right? She's like, all
Yeah.
right, we sell, it's like, hey, the people of fucking, I don't know, let's just say Nicaragua. I don't know, Nicaragua, okay? They don't buy a whole lot of American shit, but we buy fucking $500 billion worth of bananas. I mean, it's something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take what they are giving to us, divide that by two. Okay, they are getting the shit tariffed out of them. Which really, so in other words, in essence, what you're doing is you are punishing Americans harder and harder for the shit that we buy the most.
Yeah. So for the umpteenth time, okay, the tariffs are a tax.
Yep.
Okay, they're a tax hike.
Mm-hmm.
Tariffs are a tax increase.
10 years
And
ago,
and
Republicans.
unlike every other large tax increase that we've ever done, it's not progressive. Okay, it's the opposite of progressive. It affects the poorest people the most
Yeah.
because most of the people are poor and
Mm-hmm.
everyone eats.
Yeah. And what this also does is a lot of these countries, it's going to really kill a lot of these countries if with these sticking. Like I said, Vietnam, right? We've been actually getting pretty close to Vietnam in recent years, and they really don't like China, And so U.S. and Vietnam, they were like really looking forward to having like a little good partnership with them, right? Keep China in check a little bit more, right? They now have a 46% tariff because we buy a lot of cheap clothes from them, and and the poor people of Vietnam, I mean, there's not a whole lot of stuff that we export to Vietnam.
Get ready to start paying six
So,
dollars for a T-shirt from Temu instead of $3. That's
yeah,
right.
but it's really really dumb. So really, what it's going to do is it's going to really hurt these developing small countries, right? That send a lot of stuff over to us that makes
Hmm.
their economy grow, even though it's peanuts. I mean, they're not paying people a lot of money, to make soccer balls and fucking shirts. Um, but it's booming their economy. You know what I mean? Because they have, hey, Americans are buying all the stuff. Oh my god, and it makes them like us. Because look, we all have jobs now, and those Americans are buying all of our stuff. We're shipping all of our stuff to America. So when America says, hey guys, let's all get along a little better. Hey, that war was a long time ago. We're friends now, right? And they're like, fuck yeah, we're friends. Shit. If it wasn't for trade to the United States, half our people would be poor, or well, they're still poor, but
Between that and
they have
US
no
aid,
jobs.
where we're like, oh, we're
Yeah,
gonna.
with that US aid, exactly, man. We are making friends, in the developing
Hmm.
parts of the world. Put a 46% tariff on these textiles that come from Vietnam, and why are people going to buy it? They're still
So
not
like,
going to buy a whole lot of stuff from here because, I mean, we don't want to pay people a living wage to fucking sit there and run a sewing machine all day. We
well,
don't.
even beyond that, even beyond like if we were going to, it would be robots first of all. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
people.
exactly. It wouldn't be
But
people.
even if we were going to, it takes 3 to 5 years
Years to build up
to
an
put
industry.
together to develop an industry to like put
Mm-hmm.
together the factories. So no one is going to make a 5 year bet on
Mm-hmm.
this nonsense chaos continuing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, everyone's going to make no bet. Everyone's going to stop. They're just going to hold. They're going to hodl. They're going to hold on for dear life. They're going to batten down the hatches. They're going to lay
But,
people off, which is
but
what's
here's
happening to American auto workers.
but here's what it also does with these tariffs. Because here's the real reason behind the tariffs. Because he can always do an exemption, right? He's done this all the time. Okay, I'll give another month. I'll do this. I'm going to lower it on steel. I'll do this on the auto. He always gets to pick and choose, right? Because so long as the Republicans are not, asserting their authority under the law and just ceding it to Trump to let him do whatever he wants with tariffs, that puts Trump in total control. So what is he going to do? Okay, give a big tariffs on steel and auto things in between Mexico and the United States. Well, maybe he gets all those auto manufacturers to come plead their case and kiss the ring and offer him things, offer him gratuities, we'll say, you know? And maybe if they give him enough gratuities, then maybe he'll just waive the exemptions, you know? And you know what? That's an official act, Doing tariffs is an official act. So it's not like he could get prosecuted for using this position to be the mob boss and get a cut of everybody's business.
Well, you remember also, like, so long as they give him the money
After.
after that,
Well, it wouldn't even
like,
matter. It didn't even matter. He's got immunity now.
but even like he's got double immunity because so long as you give them the bribe
Yes.
after,
Yeah,
it's
they already
not,
said that's
it doesn't
okay. Yeah,
matter. Yeah, like
I know.
bribes after, so long as it's not like I give you the money and then you do the thing. So long like you do
Yep.
the thing and then I give you the money, that's totally fine.
Yeah, so I imagine what we're going to see is with these tariffs, he doesn't give a shit about the country. We've always said that. We said that last week. He cares about him. Doesn't care what the stock market's doing. Why would he care if the stock market is tanking when A, he's about to dump $2 billion worth of Truth Social, and B, he can just use his power of the tariff to have all these business leaders and all these other countries buy Trump coins or, do whatever. Give him a golf course, give him a hotel, give him do whatever. You know what I mean? And then, okay, I'll let the tariff go. Okay, here you go. Bribery. That's what it is. That's what I think it is. I think that's the real reason why everybody, every nation, even the ones we have a surplus with, has a 10% minimum tariff. So that's why he gets to try to just dictate and bribe his way through everything.
Yeah, but I mean, he had like, I don't know, $2 to $5 billion before, he got elected the second time, and he had like $50 billion of like Trump coin after the first like 3 days.
Well, the
I'm
value's
sure
been,
like,
they didn't
yeah,
have that much, but I mean, yeah, either way, the value's been going down. But no, he owns two point something billion, and the whole thing's worth five. The
yeah,
whole
but
kit and
like,
caboodle's worth five, and he's ready. He's about to dump two. They just filed a thing there yesterday. They filed a petition thing to the SEC or whatever so that he can unload his Trump coins.
yeah,
He's
but the
denying that
next,
he's going to sell. It's just saying that he would have the ability to sell. People get it right. Fake news, just trying to make him look bad. He's not trying to do that. He just wants to have the option.
I mean, I suppose that like, he's gonna get he's definitely a grifter, so he's gonna get
Yeah.
his grift on wherever
Oh
he
yeah.
can. But I think the purpose of the tariffs is to tank the West.
No, there's that too. I'm sure that, but it's good. I mean, yeah, there's that.
It's like when
Vladimir Putin.
Putin goes to everyone. It's not like Putin only went to like North Korea and was like, "Hey, you want to help me fight the Ukrainians?" He went to everybody, of
Well,
course.
they
Like
don't
the
have it. They
reason
don't have a.
Nicaragua is not sending troops to help, to have Putin throw at bullets
Cuba
is
was with
because
all
they
of it.
like America. They're selling us bananas, or it's probably coffee, but you get the point.
They were taking Cubans. They're taking Nepalese. They were taking Africans, Chinese, North Koreans. But yeah, I mean, Russia doesn't have a whole lot of real good alliances. They don't have any lot of good friends. They have a handful. They got okay. You got the Iranians. You get the pariahs of the world, and you have China because they're China. They're communist China. They're right there, and China's like, all right, cool. We're about to have a vassal state in Russia. You know, but
At a Vassal gas station.
yeah, yeah.
It's continuing on the tariffs. So like the real effects of the tariffs are already coming home, right? Because Stellantis, which makes, I forget which cars, but they're American-made cars.
Mm-hmm.
They have a couple factories that make drivetrains, and they ship those parts, some of them to Canada and some to Mexico, where they get put into the car. And they have, I think it's like 4,800 people at one plant and 2,700 people at another plant. Can't remember if it was just two plants or if there was like three or four plants, but it was however many people they have, right? But they're laying off 900 union auto workers
Oh,
because they're like, yeah, well, it's 25% tariff on cars, so we make car parts, so we're laying people off. And so like, these are good union jobs. People who work for car manufacturers, blue collar, probably Trump voters. A lot of them are in like Michigan, uh, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania kind of area. So he's literally like getting his base laid off.
yeah, but he's never cared about them.
Yeah, but you would think that like they would care about them.
I don't think so. They won't care about him until it really, 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 really affects them. That's what we've seen with these voters time and time again. You know, as long as you can hate somebody else and blame somebody else for all your woes, cool. As long as you can feel superior to somebody else, cool. I'll let you do a lot. They have to really, really feel the pain. And even if they do, doesn't mean they're going to blame Trump if there's always some other scapegoat. There's always those Jews and George Soros types or something that they'll, I mean,
With the space lasers
yeah,
affecting the
exactly.
weather.
I mean, think about this. The way I think of a lot of these voters who are going to get hammered the worst. It's like the people from Warren Jeffs, what do you call it? FLDS sect. Remember that down in Texas and Utah, the guy who
No,
was
I don't know what this is at all. You have to from the
Warren
beginning.
Jeffs. He was, offshoot of the Mormons. They were marrying the little underage girls off and basically selling them off to other, rich dudes. The older guys would get all the little young girls. They had the book, that would do all stuff. And they ran this cult for a long time, and he's in jail now, right? He's spent his life in jail, but he's still the prophet, and he still controls the church, and they still go whatever, and a lot of these kids and stuff like that, they got away, right? They were able to, get taken out of there, but you know what? They got a little bit older, and they went back. And he's still the prophet. A lot of them, he's still the prophet. They still do this. They still don't talk to their other family members, and they can't talk to the outside world because he is still their prophet. And the Trump thing is a cult, man. It is really hard to get people out of a cult.
Well, because you got to believe that you have to, in order to leave the cult, right?
Recognize it.
You have to like,
That's such.
you have to realize, yeah, you have to have like the reason to leave. So you have to believe that it is a cult.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you're going to take on the belief that it is a cult, then you're going to have to also take on the belief that like
You were wrong.
you were a
You were
you were
part
a
of.
part of this
Yeah.
thing that caused
Mm-hmm.
all of this harm that you denied, right? So
And
like now all the people who are hungry, all the people who are sick, everyone who is hurting in all of the many ways that they are hurting,
mm-hmm.
you know, you have to like own your part of it, and you were wrong,
Mm-hmm. And a
and
lot of
you're for each one of them, right? It's not just like one person. It's like it's a huge area. It's everyone in your family and your friend group. So like
Mhm.
even like you have to all believe at the same time, decide to swap, and they're
Yeah,
just
and,
not
and that
gonna.
doesn't. No, exactly. And it's like those cults, right? Uh, the people never, almost never. I don't think they ever did really get out on their own. Maybe here and there, little small tiny person. One kid might run away or something and make it and be like, "Holy shit, that was fucking! I can't believe that was how crazy that shit was." Right? But
Hmm.
the masses stay in there because they don't know any better. And the people who are all watching Newsmax and stuff like that, they're not going to know any better.
They're very Stockholm syndrome, and
Yeah.
that's why they're getting rid of the Department of Education,
Mm-hmm.
and they're defunding the part of the government that funds public libraries. And they're trying to, change the way elections work so that the federal
Yeah.
government can.
Yeah, the federal government. Yeah, so he can say who can and can't vote. So his officials, his appointees, will be able to make the determination of people if people are eligible voters or not. Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for like the series of like escalations that they're going to use to justify taking power away from the states so they can have a constitutional convention.
Oh no, that actually is the. Well, you don't even have it on the board here, but I mean, honestly, I think that goes right into the whole deportation chaos because they're already been escalating that. The government's already. I think that's the next part because talk about escalation. How much more of an escalation can you get than the government going to court and saying, "Hey, we know that there was an administrative error, and we absolutely should not have deported this guy and probably 150 more people, but the right of the president to deport anybody he wants outweighs the need of an individual person to not be sent to a fucking horrible hellscape detention center where he loses his entire life." They actually are saying that. They're like, yeah, they admit, yep, mistake shouldn't have happened, but it's more important that the president has this authority than his rights. And B, you know what? He's already gone, so we can't do shit about it.
So this goes all the way back to the Constitution. Due process in the Fifth Amendment. This amendment
Mm,
states that no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
but they argue that
No
only
one. It
applies to
doesn't even say
citizens.
citizens.
I
It
know.
says no one.
Yep.
Not no citizen, no one. And there's the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868.
Yeah,
The
the
14th
14th
Amendment
Amendment.
uses the same language to describe a legal obligation of all states, ensuring that no state can deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process. So you have due process at the state level, and you have due process at the federal level if you are a person in America, if you are a one,
Well,
per the
14th.
Constitution. So but then they're going after the judges too.
Yeah. Well, he's already by executive order said that the 14th Amendment doesn't even matter anymore.
That doesn't work that way.
He's overruled the 14th Amendment. He's overruled it. Doesn't matter anymore. It's gone. Executive order. Escalation. We'll see what the Supreme Court does, and if he listens to him. Yeah, escalation
I
is
mean,
going fast.
what do you
Escalation.
think is going to happen if like the Supreme Court says, okay, like pump the brakes, bro. Like, no, you can't executive order your way around the Constitution. The fuck are you talking about? Like that's what the Supreme Court says. And Trump goes, "Cool story, bro. You and what army are going to enforce it, though? I'm gonna do whatever I feel like, though.
Yeah, I mean they've
Grab
already
him
said that
by the
about the other
pussy.
judges.
If you're the president, you can do whatever you want. Grab him by the pussy. So that's what I'm gonna do."
They've already said
And
that. They've
and
already
then
been
he's
saying that.
and then he's it's gonna come down to like the National Guard, which is always deployed by the state. It's always the state National Guard. So the governor of a state deploys National Guard. So like the National Guard of like Chicago or New York, or I'm sorry, not Chicago, but Illinois or New York or California is gonna go out there and oppose. Is going to stand with the Supreme Court against Donald Trump and whatever he's trying to do, then the federal government is going to send down some kind of order. It's like, no, National Guard, like you're got to be with us now, or he's going to take the military and deploy them domestically against the National Guard, which answers to the governor of a state. And then we're in like a civil war situation because some of them are going to be like, "Yeehaw, cowboy! I'm still drinking the Kool-Aid," and the rest of them are going to
Mm-hmm.
be like, "Nah, fam, like I sorted to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States." So like
Yeah,
the danger is real.
yeah,
And like there's all these, you heard about the three professors who are like professors of like fascism. They're historians. Like there's like Timothy Snyder and then two other people. Timothy Snyder was the only one that I knew of before hearing about this, but they all said like they're leaving the country. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like
It's
fascism's
already
getting real fascisty, I'm out.
exactly. It's yeah. People always think it like we talked about. Like I think last week, like you said, frog in the pot of water. We are there. People like Chuck Schumer, or even some of the other talking head people. They're like, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're there yet. If he did this, then we would be in a real crisis. We're in a crisis. I don't think we're in a constitutional crisis right now. If he defies the Supreme Court, then we would be in a constitutional crisis. That would be a red line. That would be too far. They've already been defying judges. The whole deportation thing. Tom Homan, like he said, he said, "I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think."
Like, is there a single? I'm almost positive that there is not a single example of Trump being wrong about something and then saying, "You know what? I was wrong about that one, and I understand that, and now I'm going to be different."
Yeah.
Like Trump picks a thing and then he just dies on that hill, like no matter what, he doesn't change. Trump said, "Oh, we're taking Greenland." Like Denmark's like, "Yeah, but that's our NATO ally." So like, what, you're gonna go to war with NATO? Like all of Europe is gonna go to war with the United States over Greenland?
Well, NATO countries think so. They're preparing for it. That's
But at the
why.
same,
That's why the Denmark. That's why the Prime Minister or whatever Denmark went to Germany and France and UK and everybody else and had everybody else reaffirm their stance that they are committed to make sure they defend everybody's sovereignty. They weren't talking
yeah,
about Russia.
yeah.
So
And at the same time, hilariously, Europe is talking about, well, we're going to stop buying our bombs and bullets and stuff from the United States because it seems like we're going to have to fight you or like at least point our guns at you soon. And US officials are like, "No, no, definitely keep buying our guns. We'll keep selling them," which is going to be more jobs that are going to be gone because, when we don't sell $220 billion worth of arms to Europe next year,
oh yeah, our government is really pissed about that, man, because Europe is starting to turn out that spigot since
they
Donald Trump would
should.
be. They are, and even was it? It's like Colombia. I think it's Colombia, right? they were going to buy a bunch of F-16s, and Colombia said, you know what? No, they bought the Swedish Gripen, which is a fucking badass plane. But yeah, they're not going to buy the F-16s. They're going to get the better, faster, cheaper Swedish ones. And the United States is pissed about that. And talk about this ramping up and rearm Europe. That whole program they're starting up now, rearm Europe. And they're Donald Trump, the administration is seething right now because the United States wasn't invited to that. We're like, no, we're going to do this without you. And he's like, wait, hey, you guys need to buy our weapons. And they're like, yeah, no, we need to become independent. We need to not be relying on you guys for weapons. You are not reliable, and they are
Yep.
so pissed. So
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. And by the way, I was googling if he ever admitted a mistake. The closest it was is that he the closest it was is when he was talking to that Lex Friedman, whatever, that Russian, podcaster guy. Or
Hmm.
anyway, yeah, he said he lost by a whisker in 2020. But then he backtracked and everybody's like, "Oh my god, he admitted he lost." And he's like, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. It was stolen. It was
No
just by a
loser, no
whisker."
loser. You're a loser.
Yeah. So yeah, he never. In fact, he says he's right about everything. He said that a million times. But yeah, I mean, shit. I don't think it's hyperbole to think very close to a civil war. Although, shit, man, the way this country is, the way that people are going along, to get along, Republicans are just like whatever he wants, man. The rest of the session is 1 year or the 1 day, so that way we don't have to overdo this. And I mean, they just won't do anything. The way you know the law firms are just like, oh, Trump is threatening to sue just random law firms. Anybody who has somebody who works for them, that he doesn't like, he's like, oh, I'm going to sue your law firm, and then he's like, okay, all right, you give me $50 million, okay, I'll drop my lawsuit, and then like the same thing with mergers. Hey, I don't like you. I don't like you. MSNBC, I don't like you. Okay, hey, if you want to do a merger, if you want to sell this part of the company off, you better make a deal. You better make a deal. You better give me money. You know, left and right. He's just doing corrupt things like that, and everybody just keeps backing down and doing stuff. I don't think there would be a big, huge civil war. You know, I think it'd be a whole bunch of people like, oh well, hey, you know what? We'll just let him run for a third term because I mean, shit. Now he's like 84, 86 years old. I mean, how much worse can he's going to die here soon? Just let him have a third term. No, and actually, we had a fun theory about that. If he somehow, if the Supreme Court somehow ruled that he can have a third term, he could run for a third term, or the Republicans pass something. I don't see how it's possible, but let's just say somehow it's ruled that the president can serve 3 terms as long as it's not uh, consecutive, right?
Hmm.
We already know who is going to be the absolute perfect candidate who will save the Democrats if there can be
Mm,
fair and free elections.
I don't think so.
You don't think Barack Obama would come out of retirement for a third term?
I wouldn't want Barack Obama.
You wouldn't want Barack Obama to run against him?
No,
Barack Obama, man, shit.
no.
Well,
I don't want. Dude, I don't want. This is the
I would
same.
want who can win. That's what I would
This
want.
is the same position. Like I don't want who can win. What I don't want some like corporatist sellout candidate who's gonna pitch hope and change and deliver business as usual. I don't want it. I want the Democrats to learn that that doesn't sell, and I want people to stop buying their shit until they stop offering it.
Hmm.
I would
Man.
rather have fascism.
Oh
If you would
God.
like, if you would like to defend freedom, you're invited to do it. If you would like to pretend to fight fascism while actually rolling over, go fuck yourself. Let's die
Jesus.
together. Fuck it. Burn it down. Burn it
Uh,
down. There's other countries.
this is where they call it the horseshoe theory. The horseshoe theory, where the far left and the far right are really close. Oh man, yeah. Oof. I don't like that idea.
I'll leave. I'll go to some other country.
Hmm. Well,
Like
I don't want to have to. I mean, Mauritius is great every time of year, but
Greece, Costa Rica, Uruguay.
okay, yeah,
It's lots
but
lots of good options.
yeah, it's good. It's we're gonna see, But the other thing is, you know what? Here, these tariffs, they start shitting all over the economy. Everybody starts getting pissed off. Shit goes bad. Maybe another health pandemic comes along because we're just getting rid of everything. All public workers, FDA people. I mean, shit. Foodborne illnesses. We can't inspect food anymore. They're getting rid of everybody. So I mean, it's
Oh,
not
they
like it's
fired
affecting.
the heads of departments at the National Institute of Health.
Oh, I was thinking more about all of the FDA inspectors getting fired. You know, so I was thinking about them. Because like even though before it's like we tested like not even 1% is like 0.5% or something like that, but they'll test like little
Yeah.
samples here. But either way, now we're getting rid of all of them, so now there's nobody to test for shit.
Yeah,
So
it's like 40,000. It's like 40 or 50,000 meat processing facilities in the United States.
mhm.
They're supposed to have an inspection like every 60 days or something, and there's like 1,500. Uh, well, this is like old data too. This is like from when I was in high school. So this is 20 years ago. There were like 1,500. Well, the book was written before this, 25 years ago at least. Um, from Fast Food Nation by Eric Nyland. That's probably the wrong author, Eric something. Um, somebody something. Fast Food Nation is the book though, pretty sure. Uh, but it's the amount of people who are like inspectors for meat processing plants versus the number of people, the number of plants that there are means that like there's no way for them to see each of them more often than once every 15 years. It's supposed to be once every like 60 days or 90 days or 30 days or something like that. So like there's no way to do the oversight properly, which is
Yeah.
why you have like,
So
outbreaks
why?
of
Yeah. So
of,
then the Trump administration says, "Hey, so why bother even doing anything? Let's just not do anything." Uh,
yeah, and I mean children will die.
yeah.
Middle-aged people will die, young people will die, old people will
Ivermectin,
die.
man. Grab your ivermectin.
Grab some bleach, inject that.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, though, man. But the point I was saying is, if everything starts going to shit like that, right? Some health pandemic, everything gets bad. Usually, when somebody is really unpopular, when your leader is that unpopular because everything has gone to shit, and then the courts have to decide if they want to, let's just kind of let you do everything. If they can drag it out, decide on that third term when he's down in like, the 30% polling range and, economy's in the shitter and everything else, maybe that's when they would rule, yeah, no, sorry. Text is pretty clear. And maybe that's when people would grow a spine because they want to look out for their own political future, you
I
know?
mean, do you think if we had elections that were not compromised, right? We'd have fair and free elections. Do you think that in the midterms the Republicans will retain a majority
In
in
either
the
chamber?
House in the House or the Senate?
No, neither. Neither.
No. So do you think in 4 years that America would choose to have another Republican president after, the rest of the remaining 3 years and 8 months of Trump?
That depends. That depends on a lot. I can't speak to that. I can speak to the next election because right now, I mean, it's all one party rule basically. One party rules it all. And in the first midterm, when president, every president from one party in the first midterm always loses seats every single time, right? Except for the one time with Bush, with 9/11, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even his first term. It was, I believe that was his. Oh no, that was his first term. Yeah, it was 9/11. 9/11 is the exception to the rule, right? Other than that, though, party in power loses seats in the midterms. I mean, and right there, the margins are already so close. Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to hold on to it. Maybe the Senate. Maybe they hold on to the Senate. We only have one Democrat who has to run for re-election, who will probably lose, and but a whole bunch of Republicans that have to defend. So it's a lot easier
The
for the
Democrat,
Democrats.
you think the Democrat will lose?
Yes, I do.
Where is that? Which seat? Who's that?
John Ossoff. in Georgia.
You think John Ossoff is going to lose?
In Georgia, yes.
John Ossoff is great. Who's he running against?
It doesn't matter, but it's probably not going to be a pedophile or Kelly Loeffler.
What?
I mean, here
Wait,
for
are you saying John Ossoff is a pedophile?
no, I'm talking about like when like here when you had like here Roy Moore in Alabama, right, and Doug
Oh,
Jones,
like
right?
Roy Moore, not a
Yes,
pedophile.
yeah, like Roy Moore is a pedophile. That's how Doug Jones got in there, right? When you had, I mean, Kelly Loeffler was the one running against John Ossoff, and is
Uh-huh.
right on the back of all the insider trading and all the other stuff that she did criminally. I mean, and right on the back of that, and she got appointed. She didn't even win her primary. She was appointed by the corrupt governor. And who was the senator who had to resign to get that spot? I mean, it was somebody else who was in some trouble. Was it who was it in Georgia? The Republican senator who got in trouble, which is the whole reason why Kelly Loeffler was appointed, and then John Ossoff had to run against her in the special election.
I
Oh
don't
God,
remember.
who was that? George. It was Georgia's senator resign. Kelly Loeffler. Let's see.
While you're looking that up, on the topic
Yeah,
of predictions,
Purdue.
remember when we said that there would be the tariffs and the deportations of the good people, and
Yeah, it's happening.
the stock market would crash, and all of our predictions were batting 100 so far.
Yeah.
Just wanted to pat myself on the back there for being able to understand the obvious.
Hmm. Oh, data center. He resigned for quote health reasons. Was that really health reasons, or was it a scandal that was claimed to be health reasons?
I mean, having sex with too many minors is
No,
is a
this guy.
is a
And
health
no, it looks
reason.
like this guy really was just health reasons. Whatever. He looked like he was a normal dude.
I see.
Anyway, yeah, but Kelly Loeffler was appointed after like losing a primary. She got appointed anyway, and then she was already unpopular and whatever. That's how John Ossoff got in there, right?
Hmm.
Um,
He had a weak opponent.
a super weak opponent and is riding a wave of just you know, yeah.
I
Anyway,
mean, Georgia was really close though, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. It only went to Trump by like 5 or 6 points.
I mean, that's pretty close.
Not really. It's not that close. Not in a state that Biden won 4 years earlier. That's not close. But yeah.
I don't know. I want to believe in John Ossoff. Maybe he'll, maybe if he loses, he'll run for president. I don't even know if he's old enough to run for president. Is he old enough?
I'm sure he is, yeah. Either way.
He's got that baby face.
Either way. It doesn't really matter. I mean, either way, like I said, it's Georgia though still. It's Georgia. I mean, shit. I mean, I cannot believe they got 2 Democratic senators in Georgia right now. That's still baffling the mind. You know what I mean? And I
I
don't expect it to
can.
last.
I
You know?
feel like we flipped Georgia.
We didn't. They got Brian Kemp in there. I mean, Jesus. Just because Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger didn't just find the votes for Trump, nobody should be fooled that they're the ones who made it illegal to give water to people in line in the polls. Let's remember this stuff here. You know what I mean?
Like it influenced their vote.
Exactly. I mean, $1 million checks, okay. Water, not okay. Just remember that. All right.
They made it so much worse. They made it so like you can't sit, you can't give someone a
Yeah,
chair,
yeah,
you
and
can't
they
hold
closed
their
down all.
space in line,
Yeah, you have to
and they
close
close all
all
the
polling
polling
places and make you
centers.
stand in line for 20 hours. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's who's running Georgia. So let's not kid ourselves about it. It's just hey, it's a blue state now. It's not.
Okay, but at the same time that happens, you can vote early.
Maybe.
Still an option.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know about Georgia. I only know here. I live in
Yeah. I mean,
Illinois, but I
it's
don't know
different everywhere.
Georgia.
Who knows? I mean, if Trump gets his way, who knows what the federal government will say?
Like in my opinion, okay, in my opinion, I think that there is no reason in a modern setting to have a poll place where you go and wait in line and do something with paper. And I think that there's no reason to have, if you're going to have a poll place where you go and do stuff with a number, to have it just be like 24 hours only. You know, like, how about a month of voting? Yeah, we're going to start counting the votes, I think votes as they come in all month long. Votapalooza, you know, and then you're gonna have, you can have be like, oh shit, like Trump's way up, now I gotta go vote, or the other person's way up, I gotta go vote, or like, wait, what? Oh, a tariff means what? He said Obamacare's the same thing as the ACA. Oh shit, I gotta go change my vote, and then go change your vote. Like, it should just be an app. You should just like flip it one way or the other, and when time's up, like musical chairs, like wherever you're sitting, that's where you're sitting when time's up. But until then, you can just like flop it back and forth, and everyone can see live the count.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm a little different. I mean, like this.
You think it
I'm
should
over.
be like a one day only and a poll place and lines and all
No,
this bullshit?
no, but I don't think it should be like an app on your phone. I don't think it should be something like that. I think you should be allowed to change it. If you decide to change your vote, I think you should be able to go to places. I think like every public uh, place, like post office, every school, every public building, right?
Uh huh.
Everything. They should all be polling places. They should have a little, fucking iPad or something in there, right, for people to just tap, 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 do their votes, right? And yeah, I think it should be like a month or two. And if you already did it, you can change your vote and things like that. I don't like the idea of taking it mobile, letting people just walk around on their cell phones. I mean, shit. Maybe their husbands beat up their wife. They look at their phone and they go and they change their other person's phone. And, I mean, I like the idea of having a secure place. You know what I mean? Maybe you have like a public building there, and maybe have like a cop or something there
Mm.
just to make sure that no one's changing somebody else's votes, things like that, whatever and just let people do it for like a month or two. You know what I mean? I think that's fine. And honestly, like the mail stuff is. I'm okay with that too. I mean, somebody gets a little thing of mail, they get it, okay, they write it, they slip it out into a mailbox. Boom. You know what I
I'm
mean?
not okay with the mail thing because they're coming so hard after the mail, man.
Well, there's that, and with the whole thing, it's one of the things that Trump was trying to do with this whole federal election thing. He's trying to go after the states that says, "Hey, you voted in time. We can see it because it was postmarked at the post office on time before voting
Mm-hmm.
stopped, but we didn't get to count it until afterwards, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And they count it because you can clearly see that person voted in time.
Mm-hmm.
Trump does not like that. No, no, sorry, Bob. Too late. You can't count that after the election day. But they voted before election day. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
So,
think that the upside of like vote on your phone from your couch gets so many more people who wouldn't vote to vote, that the votes we lose from like the woman with the abusive partner
whatever.
takes her
I don't know.
phone and switches her vote and she doesn't check it again.
Yeah, but how do you
Like,
even enforce that, man? I mean, Jesus, haven't you ever played mobile
here's
games?
how. No, but here's how. Here's exactly how. This is the part that kills me because I feel like this is incredibly simple. Okay? You number the votes. 1 to 340 million. Okay?
All right.
Everybody gets a number, and the roll is public, and we all see which vote goes
No.
to which county.
Okay, not to which person?
Not to which person, but you get a number. So you're going to get like say you're number one. You would see number one. Number one would be to the county where you live. And you would go online and say, where's vote number one? Is it the way that I voted? And everyone would be able to go to the internet, look at their number, compare the receipt to the online. Every single person would be able to do it.
I don't know, man.
And you'd know exactly how
I
many
don't
were
like that.
counting.
I don't like that idea either, though, man. Because here, people talk, man. Oh, hey, which number? Oh, my number's this. Oh, which number? Oh, hey, James's number is 48,000. Oh, really? Oh, here. Oh, James here. He told me his number is 48,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you'd make the number a 19 digit alphanumeric thing that no
Oh,
one's going to remember.
great. Yeah, that's great. Because that won't make problems for anybody. Shit.
Why
I hate
why would
passwords.
it make a problem?
Because even passwords right now are fucking stupid, man. You have to have like a fucking 12 or 16 digit password. Oh, God, help me, man. No,
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 dude, you don't have to. You don't have a password. You're
it's the
just
same
gonna
thing. It's a
load
voting
the
number.
app.
It's a number
You're
that you
gonna
have to have. Yeah.
you're gonna load the app. You're gonna do your vote. You're gonna take a screenshot of it.
Yes, because the 90-year-olds are great with taking screenshots, or they can still go and vote in person anyway.
Who cares? Yeah, or you could go vote in person, but you don't have to.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like,
It should be a lot easier. I mean, yeah, it should be a lot easier.
like everything that makes it harder is just a reason to not give votes. Like we bank on our phones, bro. Like we handle the money on our phones.
True.
If we can handle the money on our phones, we can handle the voting on our phones.
I agree with that. I just, I don't know.
Like this is not the science of the rocket.
Phones
This
are
is
easily hackable, though. Phones are easily hackable. You can put a little Bluetooth shit on there, then you can like sit there and look at somebody's screen. I mean, I don't know. I don't. I think it'd be. I would worry about people doing something on their cell phones because people already don't even realize how insecure their phones are and how their phones can be like so easily spied on. And the whole thing about having a private ballot, I don't like the idea of having on cell phones. You know what I mean? But you know, in principle, I'm with you on that one. I mean, obviously, I think everybody should be able to. I think it's stupid that you even have to register to vote. Why do you have
yeah,
to
you
go out of
shouldn't
the
have
way
to
to
register.
register?
Yeah,
It's
you shouldn't
stupid.
have to register. You should just be, oh, you're in
Oh,
America, go
you're an
vote.
American. Oh, you're an American. Yes, we have your name. We know you live. You live here. Okay, cool. That's it. Yeah, you're voting. Why do you have to register?
Yep.
The state already knows who we are.
Yep. And the
So,
same thing is like, why do we gotta go do our taxes? Why do we gotta pay TurboTax to do our taxes? Why isn't it just being done? Why you send me a bill? Like, why am I sending you? Why are you having me do all this to pay someone $100 to tell you how much you owe me? Like, you know, you
well,
got all the numbers.
they don't have all the numbers. They don't know how. They know what you should pay. Here's the reason why. Because they know what you should pay based on your income, right? They don't know about all of the loopholes that have been written to benefit the rich could be used in your benefit. That's why they don't do it.
Like the
That's why.
tax code is like this absurd thing. Like it's gone from like 5,000 pages to like 5 million pages or something. It's like it's some ridiculous number of like why would it even be that long? And the only reason is because it's like long, complicated exceptions so that people can get away with some shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, mostly, a lot of it is yes, but there is, or at least there used to be. I mean, there still is. There's still plenty of exceptions on the books now for you can qualify for this if this, you can qualify for this if this. They want people having kids, they want people owning houses. You know what I mean? They give you exemptions for these things, but they only for one house. They don't want to give it away too much. You can only get the mortgage deduction thing. Blah blah blah. There's so many things that you can only get for your first house, not for every house, not for a rental. I mean, you do have to expand on things if you're going to go put in exemptions to make it a little bit more fair, give people a break when you want to encourage certain behaviors, right? You want people buying houses, you want people having kids, you want people getting married, you know, and they do. They want people doing those things because that usually makes for a more stable society, you know. But whatever. So that is why,
Traditionally,
huh?
traditionally, but kids today aren't getting married. Like the stats on
I know that's why they gotta. That's why they gotta stop. That's why they gotta start paying their student loans at 300%, and we gotta you know fuck these kids, man. They don't want to get married. They don't want to have kids. Well, tough. Tax them, motherfuckers. Papa needs another rental income or property. Yeah. I need to buy another golf course. Make that kid pay.
oh my god.
But I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
so brutal.
Oh yeah,
All
so you got
right.
the Republican senators kind
S-
of developing a little bit of a spine. Hope,
No, not at all. So let
hope,
me pull let me
a
pull
little
it
bit of
up
hope.
so I could tell you who it is.
I know who it was. It was four people. It was Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski,
Yep,
Susan Collins, and
Rand Paul.
Rand Paul, that's right. Because a tariff is a tax, people. Tariff is a tax. But the funny thing is, Jesus Christ, I can't believe all of these Republicans who are like, yeah, tariffs, yeah. They all forgot that half of them, because they were still in office then, all took that pledge. Do you remember the Grover Norquist pledge? Every Republican had to be shamed by this guy, this ugly dude named Grover Norquist, to pledge that they will never raise taxes ever. It was like the litmus test if you want to run as a Republican. You had to sign this
Why?
pledge because the Republican Party is against taxes and tariffs are a tax.
I mean,
Yeah, because they used to know it. I mean, they used to know it. Tariff is a tax. I mean, you know. But at the same time, I mean, there is targeted tariffs. There is a reason why Democrats used to love it for specific things, and people always have agreed for specific behaviors, specific actions, tariffs can be fine. Taxing going to a trade war with 188 countries simultaneously is pretty stupid. We did. That's what we did. We just started
oh,
a trade war with every country in the world, except for Russia. I think we didn't. What's Russia? Do they even
there's
have?
still no. We're still sanctioned. They're still sanctioned. So
Yeah,
everyone but Russia.
everyone but Russia. Exactly. There you go.
Everyone but Russia.
Everybody but Russia. But and we're thinking about lowering these sanctions because I mean, let's get real now. I mean, Ukraine shouldn't even exist. So you know, yeah. Why should we make Russia pay?
Okay, let me switch the topic and switch the tone a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know we're trying to like be done soon. Just wanna call the clock. But
Oh yeah.
um, it's like my wife asked me,
Mm-hmm.
like she's like, dude, you always say that like everything the Republicans have done has been bad. They're just like they're awful. Like they're only awful. Okay, and you know the Democrats are only good. And I'll push back and say no. Here's stuff that I disagree with about the Democrats. But what I can't do is say here is a single thing that the Republicans did that like I think was good for America. Not like like this thing where it's like a throwaway vote where like these four senators are going to vote for a thing that has a super limited scope, like it's just gonna not tariff Canada on the pretext of it being about stopping fentanyl because fentanyl doesn't actually come from Canada in any meaningful quantity. So like that's not why. It's like that's all this does. This just says, hey, it's not about that, so you can't tariff them. But they vote for this, getting a 51 to 50 squeaker, knowing that it's not going to pass in the House. So it doesn't matter. Like they're not voting on it and like it matters. Like oh, it could really happen. They're voting on it and they know it's DOA. So it's this token thing to be like, see, some of the Republicans care and have sense, and like McConnell's retiring, and like it just doesn't matter at all. It's a giant nothing
True.
burger.
It has
It's
to
like
do.
it's
It
a it's
was
a
the
PR
House.
stunt.
Yeah, the House was the ones who said for the remainder of the calendar year it's one day, right? So they don't
Yeah.
have to vote on this. So yeah,
So what I want to know from you, okay, is like an answer to this question. If you can answer it, okay, what is something that the Republicans have accomplished, that they have passed legislation that like made it into the real world, okay, that I would say, well, that's a net positive. That's a good thing for America. That's a good thing for me personally, even. That's a good thing for white men, even. Okay, like the bar is in hell. What is a single thing in my lifetime the Republicans have done that I would agree with and be like, yeah, I'm glad that happened? Is there
hmm.
anything? Do you got anything?
I got one. I got one.
Okay, what do you
Only
got?
one. Now it only worked because Bill Clinton was president, though, right? Which was now they didn't get all the way because they wanted to have a balanced budget amendment, like to the Constitution, right? And
Okay.
they were dead set about having a quote balanced budget, right, to make sure that we did not spend more than we made, right?
Mhm.
And I actually, well, I mean, that's not the current Republican Party, but it's a precursor to it. It's when Newt Gingrich was in there, and Newt Gingrich turned the Republican Party is very. It turned them into the
Okay, hold on. So
balanced, balanced budget.
we don't have a constitutional amendment that makes it
Correct,
so we have to have a balanced budget, and I
correct. But
specified it has to be a thing that actually made it into law.
it did make it into law. Not as a constitutional amendment, But when the Clinton was in office, remember they were doing budget shutdown. They were doing the government shutdowns, and they were holding the government to a shutdown and everything else because they wanted to make sure they got a balanced budget, right? And they had big fights. That's when they started doing the whole shutdowns with Clinton. Um,
So
Clinton
they
came out.
so the Republicans balanced the budget under Clinton?
They were the ones in the House, yeah, and Senate, yeah.
Okay, well, I
But
agree.
they did a deal with them. I mean, there was negotiations and everything else. They didn't get everything they wanted. They didn't get to just, you know, rob everything from Social Security, and they didn't get to do all these other things. And they had, there was super, super, contentious, uh, deal making fights, back and forth about how to do it and what to cut and everything else. And they cut a little bit from the
Mhm.
military. You know, they gave up some other
So
stuff, and we had a
so to
balanced budget.
engage with this just in the terms of what I know, which my assumption would be this. My assumption would be that if I fully investigated this, I would find parts of this decision or effects from the totality of this decision that I would say, actually, I don't like how this went. But in theory,
Hmm.
and without any of the details, the balancing the budget seems like a good thing to me.
Yeah.
So sure, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's about the, and they used to be Republicans used to be considered. Oh, you used to be always hear people like I'm socially liberal and I'm fiscally conservative,
But
right?
I would still say like I don't. Uh,
There's a Balanced Budget Act of 1997. It was not.
yeah, but
Yeah,
like so I don't think that the credit for that goes to the Republicans. I feel like the credit for that goes to Bill Clinton. Like it's like it's like like the best like I'm like, what has the Republicans done that was great? Or like let's just say it's like a guy named Jeff. Okay, what did it? We don't actually have a friend named Jeff, just for the record, but like our friend Jeff. Okay, what if our friend Jeff, like what's the one thing that Jeff did that everyone would say that's a good thing? And your answer is, well, Jeff didn't kill a hobo on Tuesday. So that was, you agree with that, right? It's like, well, yeah, like I'm glad that Jeff didn't kill a hobo, like because definitely Jeff killing the hobo would have been worse than Jeff not killing the hobo objectively. But I don't know if you get points for not killing a hobo. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like you let Clinton pass a balanced budget. You let Clinton pass a balanced. Even you helped Clinton pass a balanced budget.
well,
Like it was only balanced because of them. Like Clinton was like, "No, I want to spend," because that doesn't sound like Democrats.
no, I mean here is it was introduced by John Kasich, Republican. It was sponsored by them. It was a Republican bill. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And in the House, Republicans had the House then. You know what I mean? I think they had the House and Senate actually. They did. It was a reconciliation bill that they rammed through. And it wasn't exactly bipartisan, but they had some Democrats on board. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And so I
Okay,
mean,
so they
he,
had
he
both
couldn't.
chambers and they put a thing.
Yeah, they had both chambers, and he wasn't going to He wasn't going to do a veto. He probably would have. I don't know if he would have lost a veto. If he would have, I don't know why he would have vetoed it. It's a pretty popular thing. But
Hmm.
I mean, it was Republican. It was a Republican bill. There was some negotiations on. Like I said, though, they didn't get everything they wanted. I mean, shit. They were a different party then, though.
Okay, well I'll give it to you then.
I
That
mean,
that that counts. So there's one thing from the
there's not
balance.
a
They
whole lot, man. I mean, there's not really a whole lot. Um, there have been times when I've read some things. I'm like, okay, I'm actually okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. That's not horrible. You know what I mean? But they're not big. They're not big enough or memorable enough. There's not that much. I mean, the balanced budget is the only thing I can remember because I mean, shit, '90s were pretty awesome on the economy, and our economy, debt at the time was so bad. I was like, oh my god, man, this country's gonna be a banana republic one of these days. You know what I mean? And they're like,
Mhm.
no, they actually got it under control. Good for them. Jesus Christ, they can do it. Cool. Then 4 years later, 9/11, everybody forgot about that. They forgot all about that, man. That just started soaring more and more and more every year, and I'm just like, Jesus, how in the world are we not going to become a banana republic?
like
Yeah.
What we didn't learn in Vietnam, and like because you can see that we didn't learn it because we did Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 fucking years. Like the I feel like the real lesson there is not like is not like you know it's probably not going to go well to try to like put your boot on the neck of a people who will live in caves and then strap bombs to themselves and like blow them, like unalive themselves to unalive you. Like boot on the neck of those people, like not a good plan. That's not even the lesson. Okay.
Which by the way, another good example of a good thing that Republicans did. George H.W. Bush Senior, coordinated that whole coalition to keep Iraq doing what the United States wants to do to Greenland. You know, they wanted to go occupy Kuwait and take their resources, and he got the whole free world together, kick them out, beat the shit out of them. But we had no interest in occupying Iraq. You know, that was a good thing.
George Bush
Senior,
Senior.
yeah, quickest war, man. That was a fucking one-sided, just ass whooping.
Sure,
Like,
I'll give you that one. Okay, so with the lesson here, okay,
yeah,
so the lesson here,
we did right,
uh,
and we didn't fuck up and stay there and create a quagmire and fuck everybody.
like
Yeah.
the lesson isn't even like don't like you know I wish I could remember the quote from Princess Bride. That's like a silly thing. It's like don't fight a Sicilian in the rain on Sundays or whatever it is. But it's don't have an Iraq war. That's not even the lesson. The lesson is if you spend $1 billion a day, you know, on the American people, it will go so much better than if you spend $1 billion a day on anywhere else. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like could you imagine like the how educated we could be, how much high speed rail, how the brand new apartment buildings that could be everywhere, the homes that could be everywhere, the integrations with nature, the advancements in vertical farming and like pollution control, like all the things that we could have done with
Mm-hmm.
20 years of $1 billion a
A
day.
day. Yeah.
Like can you imagine how much good shit we could have, like
Oh
we
yeah.
could have everybody fully educated, nobody in poverty, like no one hungry, no, you know what I mean, like America could be like Dubai, like everyone just wants to go there because everything's just fucking awesome, like oh.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, here's the thing though. We talk about Republicans. What have they done good? What have they done bad? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Up until up until the 2000s, the late 90s, it started, right? But up until then, right? Republicans, sure, they were for the business, they were for the rich. You know what I mean? But they weren't. I mean, they were usually pro life, but not all of them. You know, uh, they were big business, right? And there's nothing wrong with supporting that. You need big businesses. You need to make sure
Mm,
I'm just saying, you need to have economies that grow. You need to have good companies that can hire a lot of people. You want your economy to do well. You want to grow. You want to be export stuff around the world. Blah blah blah. It's all good for our economy, right?
I think you need medium-sized businesses, but go on.
Either way, well, medium sized businesses generally can't export large scale around the world and everything else, right? So anyway, big business
Nope.
is good, but
Okay,
here's
I'll
the
let you
point: is
have it.
this point is, you know, that's fine, and the other party is for the little guy, the working guy, whatever, right? The thing is, in what they used to be, the parties used to do is they used to compromise and talk and actually hammer out things. You didn't have, because here, if you have a one party system, you get Nazi Germany, or you get Soviet Russia, or you get uh,
or
something
or
horrible. You always get something horrible, right?
or you get China.
Yeah, exactly. Not a good thing,
I don't know. I feel like China's doing pretty good.
Okay, whatever, man. All right. I don't want to get run over by the tanks of the government because, I said something bad, or I don't want to get disappeared for anything, because they can just do whatever the fuck they want to do. There's a reason they track everybody's purchases now. That's why all their purchases have to be on digital. That way the government knows everything you spend your money on. They know every website you go to. They know every internet site you go to. They monitor it down. They lock it down so you only hear what they want you to hear. I mean, yeah, I don't want to live in China. One party rule, not a good thing anywhere. It never has been. You know, you need a balance. You need a balance. If you had a group of really poor people and a group of really rich people, but they would actually talk, you could actually come together and make something that's actually that's decent. You know, problem is the parties don't do that anymore. They don't do that. And we're talking about that Overton window, like we said last week. You talk about the Republican Party has just gone further off the rails, man, just farther and farther and farther, and there's only one other party. You know, the Overton window shifts. Now you're like, hey, yeah, the Democrats aren't even really a Democratic party; they're more of a conservative party. And it never used to be that way. I mean, Democrats were always hey, let's shake things up, let's change things. Hey, civil rights, women's rights, let's do this, gay rights. Da, da, da. They wanted more things. They wanted, I mean, right now they're just trying to hang on, man. And they're trying to keep the country together. And right now, that is, I mean, that's the most important thing, I think. Trying to, hey, let's not let this fucking the whole democracy thing go away, people. You know, if there was a balance, it'd be fine. It's just not a balance when you have one party just going nuts and just doing whatever the fuck they want, and you have a entire branch of government acquiescing to another one.
Well, so I know you know this, but I'm just going to give a brief history of why it is that way for Fan. Um, so this thing with Clinton, where they balanced the budget, turns out that was wildly popular.
It was.
And the Republicans realized that if they were going to beat Clinton and the Democrats, they couldn't allow them to get wins while they were in office, even if the quote unquote wins were really for the American people and they were things that they had negotiated because they were unwilling to follow the masses in terms of policy with where they wanted to go. So in response to that, okay, they became an obstructionist party. Instead of someone who would negotiate, they became obstructionist. And then they started with Fox News. And then what happened is over 40 years, they eroded state governments. They eroded the idea of the news, right? They eroded this, like, the idea that there is a single truth and that facts are a single thing that we can agree on. They eroded the idea that like America is one collective endeavor, and that when any part of America does good, America is doing good, and when any part of America suffers, all of America suffers. So we have to create the most good and avoid the most suffering in order to be on the right track. We used to all agree on that. And they would say, oh, well, we got to do a little more to business. And then they would say, oh, well, we got to do a little more to unions. And they would push and pull, and they would end up somewhere in the middle and nobody was truly happy, as it should be in any negotiation, right? Okay, but they decided like that doesn't work for us because we have to change with the times and we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to. So
Mm-hmm.
so instead they eroded all of the systems that caused that to happen. Like that's Mitch McConnell's legacy. That's Rupert Murdoch's legacy. Is that like they eroded the system
Newt
to
Gingrich,
the to the point that we're in the place now where like you can't even like you can't even go to people and be like, how much did you spend on groceries this week versus how much you spent for the same groceries a year ago? You can't even go to people and be like, this is the way a tariff works. Behold the stock market, like, believing the truth. Like, oh, climate change is real. You know how we know? Because insurance companies won't insure you if you're in the fire zone of California or you're in the hurricane zone of Florida, because climate change is real. Like the insurance companies are pricing it in. Like, you know what I mean? Like we can't even just agree on like the basic facts of reality anymore. Trump
hey,
didn't win the election.
CO2 makes the it traps heat, which by the way, you can prove to anybody by simply putting a cover over your head when you wake up in the morning. You'll notice how hot it gets.
Sure.
Or putting a bag. You know, what I mean, the CO2. You know, what I mean, it does. It warms everything. You know,
Yeah, okay, so yeah, it warms everything, and then the polar ice caps melt, and the water comes up,
but
and then
but I'm saying,
the acidity levels
but people don't even believe that.
erodes the plant life, and then the plants die, and then the water stops moving the same way, and then the
I'm just saying
warmth
though,
and the cold, where it
you're
moves
losing the.
because of the weather changes,
You're going too far
and the
now.
fish all die.
You're going too far though. I'm saying is this in a small little one-on-one thing. Hey, you can do this, da, 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 right? You say that you say the same thing. That is, to your point, you know what I mean. People agree. There's a lot of people who that's bullshit, man. CO2, whatever, man. CO2 is running forever. It's just carbon dioxide. It's just another element, man. People don't cause that. People don't make that
Okay,
worse. You know
okay,
what I mean?
dude, who got a C in chemistry
Yeah,
in high school,
I'm saying people, but yeah, I mean, people can't agree on anything. It baffles my mind how in the here's you want to see where politics is and we talk about where people can't agree on anything anymore in the 80s CFCs. I can't believe more people. I was talking to somebody at work about this and he didn't even know about this. He's uh anyway, one of our coworkers, he was blown away at this, right? His family's very conservative, right? And I was talking about how in the 80s, CFCs, right? They realized, hey, the chemicals in these CFCs are eating away at the ozone. Our scientists have been able to discover that this is the thing that's causing the ozone layer to create basically a massive hole where a bunch of radiation and extra heat can come in and out. And hey, our planet's gonna die if we keep using hairspray and shit, right?
mm-hmm.
Literally fucking hairspray. Sure, you know what I mean? And this is during the hair bands, man. 80s,
Yep.
big hair. And the entire fucking planet got together very rapidly, right? And every single place in the earth banned it. All banned CFCs. For a couple years, hairspray sucked. It was all this pump liquid shit that you couldn't even spray. And it's like squirts and it came out. It was horrible, right? But the entire planet did it and suffered together
Oh,
because everybody saw the science and said, "Oh shit, we're gonna kill our planet. Let's fix this shit." And poof, we healed it. They stopped it. They started saying it. Hey, look, it's starting to heal itself. It's actually doing this, and the whole world rejoiced. Right? Yay, we saved our planet
not the
very
whole
quickly.
world. I mean,
Oh,
the
oh,
hairspray people were like,
oh,
"Yay, we don't like this."
they didn't like it at first, but then now they make hairspray that sprays like a real aerosol can, but it doesn't have the CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons, right? That's what it
Hmm.
was, chlorofluorocarbons. It was the it was now they have aerosolized cans that have good hairspray again, but without those CFCs. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was in a whole bunch of shit, and they got rid of it everywhere. Save the planet. That could not happen now. It could be the easiest decision if we said, "Hey, everybody, hey, it's this it's whatever, man. It's this fucking additive in something that's actually causing global warming. We just have to stop using this, right? It'd be something
Hmm.
easy. It's not going to happen. It would not happen now. I
It
mean,
wouldn't happen.
it would not happen.
No, it's way too. Half the people wouldn't even
Half people
agree.
never agree that it's even real. And then the other half people be like, oh, or then 25% people are like, that's really hard. Jesus, maybe we'll find another solution, you know? And, and then 25% of people will be freaking out saying, we're going to kill the planet over this, you know? And that's what's happening.
Yeah,
But it wasn't that long ago, man. You know, 35 years ago, whatever it was, you know, 25, 35 years ago, 30 years ago, the whole planet just saw the science, got together, snapped their fingers, man.
I
Everybody.
mean,
And it
I
happened.
think that it's because big hairspray was never that big. That's my
It wasn't
that's my
just
guess.
it wasn't just that. It wasn't just hairspray. That was the biggest thing, you know. Uh,
I'm saying like I don't think there was a massive financial interest in keeping CFCs in hairspray.
it
Is
was
my
in
point.
everything, though, and it was in everything. I mean, it's yeah, they were phased out during the Montreal protocols, the ozone depletion here, but I mean, it was in everything.
I
Refrigerants,
mean,
ammonia.
we all came together 25 years ago for Y2K, to fix all the internet
But I mean,
and
here
the computer.
it was in everything. Every refrigerant used it. Every refrigerator, air conditionings in cars and everywhere. It was everything. It was ammonia. It was in everything. Also in hairspray. I mean, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. They were making back in where was it? In
Okay,
1970s.
I understand.
Anyway, sorry, God,
You're
it's
way down
self-employed.
this rabbit hole. It's yes, we did it. That was nice. It would not happen today. That is less nice. I agree.
Yeah.
Yes. If only big oil were as easy to defeat as big hairspray, we would all be so much better off. Okay, let's do before you're begging me to end this via chat, let's do what could go right. And I have my what could go right. It's a thing we didn't really talk about, so this is my in for this thing. So, uh, honeybees. Okay, the bees. The bees are really crucial to like
Life.
crops. Yeah, like if you just like the ecosystem, like the whole deal sort of like relies on bees because bees do this cool thing where they sense the electrical charge of a flower, and then when they come by one that has a certain charge, the charge flips and the pollen leaps off of them and goes to the bee as the electrical charge changes. The bees can sense the electrical charge. And as they go and they get the pollen, then they take it to another tree or another plant that needs the pollen, and that one has the opposite electrical charge to get the bees. Hey, come over here to me, and they go over there, and it flips again, and the other plant gets the pollen. And this is how the plants become food. And then the animals eat the food, and then the animals live, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, bees are really important. Well, in the last year, 90% of the United States bees have died. 90%, which is going to make it much harder for us to do our crops. 90% of our bees are gone. 90%, 90%. An extremely alarming percentage of the bees have died in the past year. And I think that it's maybe due to something that they're using in like a certain kind of um like mite repellent. So like they try to make it so the bees don't get mites, or like the plants don't get mites, so they use a certain mite repellent that has like a chemical that like kills the bees. I don't know, they haven't figured it out yet, obviously. uh but yeah, 90% of them died. So my what could go right is that we could survive having lost 90% of our bees, and big beeswax or whoever could find a solution to like save the bees, and the bee population could bounce back, you know, maybe even aided by the slowdown in like big ag from all of the deportations. And then, you know, we'll still be able to grow plants. That's my what could go right. We could not, cripple the ecosystem by killing all the bees. I think unlike my like happy predictions about like Ukraine beating Russia, or like Trump deciding to not be a horrible person, like, you know, I think the bees one really could happen. Like I think we're pretty likely to solve, you know what I mean? Like the the anti-bee lobby doesn't have a big, like they don't have a Fox anchor, you know what I mean? Like they're not a big presence. So
Oh, they got a lot of money though. But okay,
I think the bees could make a comeback.
well, that'd be well, yay for the planet.
Yeah, I would love the ecosystem to continue existing so I
Hmm.
could eat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what
What?
do you think could go right?
Oh,
Why don't you? I'm gonna give you an idea. You do what you want, but my idea for you, okay, is to pick something with the courts, because you were like, Chuck decided to not do the government shutdown so we could keep beating them in the courts. So what could go right? Something with the courts.
well, I mean, honestly, I don't think he has many wins in the legal future, right? I actually do think the courts are going to stop a lot of what he's doing, right? Whether it's too little, too late, I mean, I don't think the courts are going to rule that he can just start, extrajudiciously shipping people to El Salvador. Even the Supreme Court, I don't think they're going to rule that way. I don't think they're going to say, yeah, the Constitution didn't say the word consecutive, so yeah, you can go again, Trump. I don't think they're going to say that either. And I know for a fact they're not going to say, oh, yeah, sure, you can go ahead and overrule the birthright citizenship. They're not going to say that either, right? So the courts are going to rein in the worst things that he keeps doing. That's not a reason to be hopeful, though, because I don't believe that this administration will abide by the law. you know, um, I mean, what are they going to do? Start an insurrection to keep him in there again? I mean, come on, that's not going to happen. That wouldn't happen.
I, I mean, dude, they said that he literally could murder people as an official act. So he could very literally like I'm Trump trying to like pull off the Trump coup. Like I
Yeah,
just kill all of the Democratic state leadership. I just start
yeah,
like, yeah, like they're just getting executed by the military officially. Like I'm gonna go on Fox News and be like, look, they're in the way of like this constitutional convention. It's the only way we can save the country. These Democratic governors and legislators in these places, like we gotta kill them. That's the only way. They can vote for us or we can kill them. But we're doing a constitutional convention either way. So figure it out. Put on your big boy pants or lay down and die. It's up to you. But I got immunity to kill you if I do it officially. So I'm gonna and then I'm rewriting the Constitution, and all bets are off.
yeah,
He could just do that.
yeah. We could. That's Oh, there's an article here that maybe it's the Atlanta Journal Constitution. It's an opinion column, but just trying to think of anything that will. It's a paywall. Fuck it, of course. You know, the article is called "Opinion: America will survive Trump, and so will American democracy." I was like, really? Let me read this article. I want to see how, because I need a sign of hope for it because
We're
I'm not
selling
convinced.
optimism.
I'm not convinced. I mean, that's what could go right. What could go right is here.
They could
The
they
worst
could
about here.
fumble their
The
their
economy's about to
whole
go to shit.
bullshit.
Here in the first Trump term, right? They had a women's march, right?
Yep.
But the real major protest started when they started doing kids in cages, right? I'm
Uh,
thinking here, and there's plenty of protests here now, but they're not exactly big, large scale, sustained things. Kids in cages, Black Lives Matter, those are big, sustained
okay, wait.
things. Oh, what I'm saying is,
No,
yeah,
there've been huge protests though. It's just not being covered but picked up by mainstream media. That's a whole other thing. But there have been a lot of protests.
there's been a lot of
Big,
protests. There's
a
always a lot of
lot of
protests.
big protests.
How big?
Tens of thousands of people.
Where? When? Doing what?
Tens of thousands of people on the same day in multiple states, multiple weekends.
Hmm.
You got to go
Hmm.
look into it.
All
Google
right.
it. You'll find the
I know there's
stuff.
been a lot of
I'll
protests. There's
find
always a
I'll
lot of
find
protests.
you an article later, but go
But
look into
even
it.
so, tens of thousands. That sounds pretty big. But I mean, we need days
11 million.
long million people things. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
the thing is, when everybody loses their jobs because of the tariffs, everybody's getting laid off, you know what they have? They have time on their hands. When people have time on their hands and the economy's going to shit and things aren't looking good, that makes people angry. And when people are angry and the economy's going to shit and you have a lot of time on your hands, hey, that sounds like a pretty good recipe for a lot of big protests, a lot of big organization demonstrations. So
Hmm.
maybe people will wake up and really start protesting hard enough that people can't ignore it, or that the media
Hmm.
can't not cover it. I mean, shit, there's a fucking million people that's Times Square shut down. Nobody can get around anywhere in New York. I mean, if you get some big things like that, Washington D.C. is surrounded by 1.5 million people. You know, president has to be flown out on a helicopter just because they can't go anywhere. There's too many people everywhere. He's pissed at them. They go. You would make some news. You know what I mean? You need big, massive protests, and maybe people will start doing that. And when his numbers start tanking, then that's when you get the Republicans who are kind of like they already hate Trump privately. Maybe that's when he's like, okay, dude ain't gonna, he ain't getting a third term. Shit. All right, I can pretend to have a spine for a little bit because it's in my self interest to not be with Trump now. And then maybe we get through it. Protest, action.
Okay. People will protest. I like it. I could believe it. That could go right.
That can go right. Better hope it does.
Okay. Well, closing thoughts. Everyone, figure out for yourself what your red line is. If this happens, it's really time to leave the country despite all of the hardship, pain, discomfort, etc. That's going to cause you. Um, Figure out where your line is, and then figure out where you're going to go and everything you need to know. Like, get your ducks lined up, figure it
even
out.
if you
What are you
haven't,
doing with the car? What are you doing with the house? Where are you going? When are you going? What's your bag? What goes in the bag?
and
Really have a real plan.
even if you don't have a plan yet, even if you don't think you need to, even if you can't envision something like that happening, get your fucking passport, people. It's not that much money. I mean, yes, it's a little bit, but get a passport. Doesn't hurt to have one. 10 years, you can go anywhere. Worst comes the worst. It's kind of like the whole God scenario. People people who are religious say, "Hey, if I'm right and there's a God and you're wrong, you'll burn in hell. But if I'm wrong, I just die. No problem." Think of it that way, okay? Get your passport. Doesn't hurt to have one. Worst comes to worst, you can hop on a plane and go anywhere, and then you can worry about it after you're out of the country if you need to.
Yes, I agree. Do
Yeah.
that. But also, on the topic of religion as insurance, dude, there's hundreds of religions, so like at best you're getting like a 1 in like 100 and something chance that you didn't like piss off God by like eating the wrong fucking bread on Wednesdays,
That
and you're
doesn't
still
matter.
fucked, even though like, oh yeah, it's like that's what's going to happen is like
That wasn't the point.
there's
Yeah.
one religion, okay, one of them is going to be right, and like his set of rules are going to be like the only way, and everybody who didn't follow that shit to the T is fucked. And so you have a 1 in 175 or however many thousands of religions there are. It's probably the flying spaghetti monster people because haha, lol, fuck everyone. Like, if you weren't Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, forks down, like you're just fucked. Even though you like, felt really bad about like having sex before marriage or like whatever other bullshit, like you didn't eat pork for 3 months or you drew black dots on your face or whatever dumb shit you did, you're still fucked. So no, religion as insurance is a shitty play.
I
Bad
know.
argument.
I'm just saying that's what people say when they're religious. They're trying to get you to go to church, or they're trying to get you to convert or something. They'll say, "Hey, what if you're wrong?" I'm like, "If you're
Can
wrong,
I?
you'll burn in hell." I was just saying the same thing. It's like
Can
this:
I?
if you have a passport and you don't need it, what's the worst thing that happens? You have a passport, cool. If you
Yeah,
don't get a passport
yeah,
and you do need it, what's the worst thing that happens? Oh shit, you might end up in.
yeah. You're $100 poor. You got a passport. You got it for 10
Exactly.
years. Absolutely, get your
Exactly.
passport. 100%. And as you say that, like, I realize I need to get
That's
myself a
also
passport.
that is also in on tyranny. That's one of the things. Get a passport.
Okay, I got to do that. I gotta work it out for
Yep.
my son because he does not have a passport, and that's a very good point.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
All right, get your passport, get your protest boots on, get your signs ready, and for the love of God, come up with a protest chant that doesn't involve ho ho, hey hey, or some other sing song bullshit. Okay, just stay on point. No songs, no tambourines. For the love of God, it's not. It's
bagpipes.
not.
Bagpipes okay? Bagpipes are
Nope.
pretty badass.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
Man.
Nope, it's not a music festival, it's a protest. You should be yelling the message that is the single thing that you are unified in your anger about, that you're there to protest, you know.
All right. Well, there we
All
have it.
right. Good night and good luck, just to steal your line, because you
There
stole
we
mine
go.
at the beginning. All right. All right, like, comment, subscribe, tell 3 friends about the pod, and have a great week. We'll see you guys next week.